Last time we met, we discussed the identity of Yeshua. We spoke on how God interacts with us through His triune nature, known to us as God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. In this lesson, we want to focus on the role of the Spirit of God.
Living for Messiah is not always easy. He said in the New Testament that the way to the Father is narrow and few find it. Yeshua's commandments are dealing with how to honor God with a heart that typically does not desire to obey God.
In Genesis 6:4, God sees the heart of all humankind and says, "Every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually." The heart, because of sin and disobedience to God, continually desires to do what dishonors God. God judges the heart. What are we supposed to do?
The law says, don't commit adultery, but Yeshua said to look at a woman with a lustful heart is the same as committing adultery. Yeshua's standards don't just hang on the Torah of do and don'ts, but resides deep in the heart of the person. He didn't seek to minimize the law, but instead to fulfill it by fixing our hearts first.
It's clear we don't have the power to fully follow God in our own strength. But there's good news. God sent His Spirit to help us serve God and honor Him. The prophet Jeremiah declares, God will give a new covenant, a way of living that deals with our heart. God says, I will put my law within them, and on their heart I will write it. And I will be their God, and they shall be my people.
But take notice of what's said here. It's a work only God can do. Yeshua spoke of the Spirit of God in John 14:16, and I will pray to the Father, and He shall give you another Comforter, that He may abide with you forever, even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it sees Him not, neither knows Him. But you know Him, for He dwells with you, and shall be in you. I will not leave you comfortless, I will come to you.
Who is this Spirit of truth that Yeshua speaks of? Is this just a New Testament thing? What does the Hebrew Bible say about the Spirit of God?
The Hebrew word ruach, just like the Greek word pneuma, can mean breath or wind as well as spirit. It is also true that the Tanakh speaks of people being filled with the Spirit, which means empowered or equipped by the Spirit, and that it makes reference to Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, being poured out. The New Testament uses the exact same phrases and images when referring to the Holy Spirit.
The prophet Nehemiah also makes mention of the activity of the Spirit during Israel's wilderness wanderings. You gave your good Spirit to instruct them. You did not withhold your manna from their mouths, and you gave them water for their thirst.
David prayed this famous prayer, hide your face from my sins and blot out all my iniquity. Create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Do not cast me from your presence or take your Holy Spirit from me. There are many other examples throughout the Torah and Tanakh of God's Spirit dwelling within King David and others.
Now at this point, it's fair to ask, is the Spirit of God the same as God? Yes, the Spirit is fully God, God's very Spirit, not a separate being. At the same time, the Spirit of God clearly has personality, since the Spirit instructs the people of Israel and can be grieved or angered. The key is always this: God touches us, teaches us, interacts with us, and empowers us by His Spirit. When we believe Yeshua, that He has died as our atonement so we can be forgiven of sin, we receive the Spirit of God to live in us. God's Spirit helps us and is working to fix our heart and restore us into a relationship with God.
God dwells among us by means of His Spirit. In a sense, as expressed in Psalm 139, verse 7, God's Spirit is His presence, which is everywhere on the earth. On the one hand, He sits enthroned in heaven, separate from this earth. On the other hand, He is intimately involved with our daily affairs, right here in our midst. How?
By His Spirit. God is not divided as if 60% of God remains in heaven and 40% in His Spirit. No, God is fully in heaven and fully in our life through His Spirit when we believe in Yeshua.